They just lawyered up. Here's why this story matters. What started as a few TikTok videos has now turned into a legal line in the sand, and it's raising bigger questions about influence, opinion, and where online commentary crosses into real-world consequences. According to publicly reported information, Justin and Hailey Bieber have taken legal steps against a TikTok creator who shared videos suggesting serious problems inside their marriage. The couple's attorney reportedly sent a cease and desist letter, claiming the statements were fabricated, false, and damaging. What makes this moment different isn't celebrity drama. It's how fast a personal narrative, shared as opinion, can travel, evolve, and suddenly trigger legal action. In the letter obtained by media outlets, the lawyer argues that the content didn't stay within the boundaries of commentary, but instead created a narrative that could be interpreted as factual claims about a private relationship. That distinction matters, especially online, where tone and framing can change how millions of viewers perceive a story. The TikTok creator at the center of this dispute responded publicly, saying the letter was meant to intimidate and silence her voice. She maintains that her videos were opinion-based discussions about relationship dynamics, not statements of fact. This response added fuel to the conversation, shifting attention from the marriage itself to a broader debate about free expression on social media. And that's where the tension really begins. On platforms like TikTok, creators often blend personal interpretation with public information, sometimes without clear boundaries. According to reporting, the videos referenced past public statements made by Justin Bieber, including a years-old social media post where he openly discussed personal struggles earlier in his life. The creator argued that she was connecting publicly available information, not making new claims. But from a legal perspective, intent doesn't always outweigh impact. Lawyers often focus on how content is received, shared, and understood by the audience, not just how it was meant. When a video reaches millions, context can disappear, and speculation can start to look like certainty. Hailey Bieber also addressed the situation directly, pushing back against claims that she had engaged with or amplified the viral videos herself. In a short message to followers, she denied reposting anything related to the allegations and dismissed the online narrative as unfounded. That response highlights another modern reality. Public figures now feel pressure to respond quickly, even to claims they consider baseless, because silence can be misread. Behind all of this is a couple that has repeatedly had to address rumors over the years, from relationship speculation to assumptions about their private lives. Representatives for Justin Bieber have reportedly described the latest wave of claims as exhausting and misleading, emphasizing that the couple is focused on family life and work. What happens next is less about celebrities and more about precedent. If opinions go viral, when do they become something else? And how much responsibility comes with a platform when commentary starts shaping public belief? This story isn't over, not because of scandal, but because it sits at the crossroads of law, social media, and modern influence. As the conversation grew, another layer quietly emerged: how quickly online narratives can harden before all sides are heard. Once legal language enters the picture, everything changes. A cease and desist letter isn't a lawsuit, but it is a formal warning, and according to legal experts, it's often used to draw a clear boundary before reputational damage spreads further. In this case, the letter reportedly demanded that the videos be removed and that similar claims stop immediately. The wording, as described by outlets that reviewed it, framed the content as harmful and actionable, suggesting that continuing could lead to further legal steps. That kind of language alone can shift the tone of a story, from online debate to real-world consequences. The TikTok creator responded by doubling down, posting new videos explaining her position and defending the right to express opinions. She emphasized that disagreement does not equal defamation and argued that commentary on public figures, especially when based on public information, is part of online discourse. She also said the backlash had escalated, claiming she began receiving threats after the story gained traction, an outcome that often complicates these situations even further. This is where the algorithm plays a quiet but powerful role. Once a topic trends, platforms tend to reward engagement, not nuance. Short clips get shared without full context. Reactions become louder than original statements, and the most extreme interpretations often travel the fastest. For viewers scrolling quickly, the difference between allegation, opinion, and confirmed fact can blur. Meanwhile, the Bieber side has consistently pointed to a different reality. According to representatives, Justin and Hailey are focused on their work and their family, especially after becoming parents. They've described recurring rumors as recycled narratives that resurface whenever attention spikes, regardless of current circumstances. From their perspective, responding legally isn't about silencing discussion. It's about stopping claims they believe misrepresent their lives. What makes this story resonate beyond celebrity culture is how familiar it feels to the wider internet. Many creators build platforms by analyzing relationships, power dynamics, and behavior patterns. Audiences are drawn to that content because it feels interpretive, almost investigative. But when those interpretations involve real people with real reputations, the margin for error becomes very small, and the question lingering underneath everything is simple but uncomfortable. Who decides where that line is? Social media has blurred the boundary between public interest and private life. Celebrities are more accessible than ever, yet still protected by laws that haven't fully adapted to viral culture. Creators, on the other hand, operate in a space where speed often matters more than restraint. When those worlds collide, stories like this are almost inevitable. What comes next may depend less on courts and more on how platforms, creators, and audiences rethink accountability online. Another detail that's easy to miss is how differently the same content can be interpreted depending on where it lives. On TikTok, short-form videos reward confidence and clarity, not hesitation. Statements are compressed into seconds. Tone matters more than footnotes, and viewers often react before context fully lands. What might be framed as commentary by the creator can be received as a statement of fact by the audience. Legal experts often point out that this gap is where most influencer-related disputes begin. Opinion is generally protected, but only when it's clearly presented as opinion. The moment viewers believe a claim is being presented as verified truth, the risk changes. That gray area is exactly where cease and desist letters tend to appear, not necessarily to win a case immediately, but to force a reset. In interviews following the letter, the TikTok creator framed the situation as a free speech issue, suggesting that wealth and influence were being used to discourage criticism. That framing resonated with many viewers who already feel skeptical of celebrity power. Comments poured in, supporting her stance, with users praising her for standing her ground and questioning why public figures should be shielded from scrutiny. At the same time, others raised concerns about boundaries. They pointed out that discussing relationship dynamics from afar, without direct knowledge, can quickly drift from analysis into assumption. Some viewers questioned whether revisiting years-old statements and applying them to a current marriage crossed an ethical line, especially when children are involved. This split reaction highlights something bigger than any single celebrity couple. The internet has created a space where interpretation often competes with information. Old interviews resurface, past quotes are recontextualized, and timelines collapse into one ongoing narrative. Change, growth, and nuance don't always fit neatly into viral formats. For Justin and Hailey, this isn't the first time they've pushed back against online speculation. Over the years, they've repeatedly denied breakup rumors, health rumors, and relationship narratives they say don't reflect reality. Their representatives have described these cycles as exhausting, noting that periods of silence are often misread as confirmation rather than choice, and yet silence can be risky too. When public figures don't respond, others fill in the gaps. That's part of what makes this situation so complicated. Responding can amplify a story, but ignoring it can allow it to grow unchecked. Behind the scenes, there's also a practical consideration. Brands, partnerships, and reputations operate on trust. Even unproven claims can create uncertainty, and uncertainty can have real financial consequences. From that angle, legal action isn't just personal, it's preventative. As the debate continues online, the original issue has almost become secondary to the larger conversation it sparked. Viewers aren't just arguing about one marriage, they're arguing about who gets to speak, who gets protected, and how much responsibility comes with an audience. And that leads to the question that's now driving attention forward. If this dispute doesn't end quietly, what does resolution even look like in the age of viral opinion? Resolution in cases like this rarely comes with a clear winner. More often, it arrives quietly through deletion, fading attention, or a shift in focus to the next viral moment. Cease and desist letters don't automatically mean lawsuits will follow. In many situations, they function as a boundary marker, signaling that a line has been crossed and that further escalation could carry consequences. Legal analysts have noted that if the videos remain framed as personal opinion and not as statements of verified fact, the situation may never move beyond this stage. But if commentary continues in a way that audiences interpret as asserting hidden knowledge or inside information, the risk increases. That uncertainty alone can change behavior online, which is often the real objective. What's striking is how quickly the narrative has expanded beyond the original claim. The conversation is no longer just about one TikTok account or one celebrity couple. It's about the growing tension between internet commentary culture and traditional reputation management. Social platforms reward bold takes, while legal systems prioritize precision and restraint. Those two worlds don't naturally align. For Justin and Haley, the timing adds another layer. They've recently emphasized stability, family life, and work behind the scenes. Representatives have suggested that much of what the public sees, fatigue, distance, seriousness, is tied to long studio hours and parenting, not personal conflict. That explanation, however, often struggles to compete with more dramatic interpretations online. Meanwhile, the creator at the center of the controversy has continued to position herself as part of a larger conversation about power dynamics, not as someone targeting individuals. That framing has helped her maintain audience support, even as critics argue that influence comes with responsibility, especially when discussing sensitive topics involving real people. This balance between speaking freely and speaking carefully is becoming one of the defining challenges of modern media. The line between analysis and allegation is thin, and once crossed, it's difficult to step back without consequences. What feels like commentary to one viewer can feel like character judgment to another. As attention slowly shifts, one thing is clear. Stories like this don't disappear because they're resolved. They fade because something new replaces them, but the precedent they set remains. Each public dispute subtly rewrites the rules of what's considered acceptable discourse online. And that's the lingering question this moment leaves behind. In a space where everyone has a platform and every opinion can reach millions, who decides where commentary ends and accountability begins? That's a question worth unpacking further, and it's exactly where the next chapter of this story leads.